And that's why I'm no longer allowed in Tahitian nightclubs. Oh, hey, we're live. I'm
But seriously, how were you able to find rubber pants that small?
going to be honest. You just got to have a nose for these things.
That's understood.
Hey, it's Wednesday night. Welcome. Good evening. Hello. Domo arigato. Uh, welcome to Sawdust Talk. I am Braden with Little Bug Woodworking. Y'all are probably tired of me introducing myself every single week. So that's all you got. We've got my boys, Kimani and TJ here. And before we introduce our guest for tonight, who has been described as the nicest guy in the Pacific Northwest, possibly the U.S., potentially the world. Oh, look at that bashful face. Want to take a real quick second, thank our sponsors that make this podcast not possible. We could do it without them, but they definitely make it more pleasant for you and everybody around you. So special thanks to George Supply Co. and to Surf Prep. If you need abrasives, check out Surf Prep. You don't have to have a Surf Prep sander. You just have to have, you got to have the heart and the drive to sand when you don't want to sand anymore. Surf Prep.
George
Also,
Supply Company will help you get your brand into the hands of your peers, your friends, and your enemies should you choose so.
That's right.
They also make some dang fine CA glue. So big shout out to Scott over at George Supply Co.
Nothing destroys the egos and the emotions of your enemies like getting just a big old box of swag with your stuff on it. So I think that was pretty good. I think we should start doing that. Like just really long pitches for our sponsors. Like maybe half-hour long pitches. We'll talk about it.
Hey guys, can you mute me for a second? I'm getting sort of an SOS.
There we go. TJ's gone. This is my favorite way to view TJ. Just quiet. Anyway, our guest tonight, we have Alex Duffey of Duffey Woodcraft. He's the man, the myth, the legend. He is the handler of Sasquatch related goods. And he's made a UFO or two. Alex, what's up, bud? How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. I just made all that up on the fly, and I'm dang proud of it.
Yeah,
It was all right on. Nicest guy
right
I know.
Yeah, so I'm Alex with Duffey Woodcraft. Been a maker for about 5 years now. Duffey Woodcraft as a brand has been around for about 3. I'm outside of Portland, Oregon, and Vancouver, Washington. And yeah, as Braden said, lately I've been specializing in UFOs and Sasquatch related things. I just did a big Sasquatch fest, which was a ton of fun and has been really exciting. And it was really neat to see all the different people and different things that people make around Sasquatch. So that was really cool.
Alex, I'm sorry I have to go. I am having a family emergency now. So I will catch up with you guys later. I'm sorry.
Bye, TJ.
Bye, TJ.
We didn't like him anyway.
Oh, but we do.
Okay, so Alex, let's start at the beginning. How did you get into making? That's always the origin story is just always the best place to start.
Yeah. Let's see. When we first bought a house, it was actually the first house that I had lived in. I grew up in apartments, and so when my wife and I bought a house, quickly learned that houses require a lot of things to do and a lot of things to make and build and so on. So I mean, it started building garden boxes and then built a pergola and built my own little wood shop out in that garage. And so it just kind of grew and grew. And then when we moved into this house, which was right before the pandemic, like a lot of makers, I all of a sudden had a lot of extra time and decided that, woodworking was something that was really, getting more and more into. I built some end tables and a coffee table and was like, you know what, this is something I really want to do. So I built a wall to wall off half the garage to be my wood shop, which is now in the entire garage, and the wall is just in the way. But it's been a great couple of years, and I was lucky enough to have a lot of people in my life growing up that were not necessarily makers, but I would say jacks of all trade. My dad is definitely one of those people. I had a mentor in high school, Mr. E. He was our woodshop teacher, but he was definitely just one of those guys that did everything himself. And then another professor in college that was the same way. So it was really neat to have those influences, and kind of gave me that confidence to be like, yeah, I can figure something out, so might as well make it.
So the real question here is, your woodshop teachers, how many fingers did they have? Did they have all 10?
He did have all 10. He was a proponent of safety, and man, if you're teaching high school kids woodshop, you got to be a proponent of safety. So,
okay, so got started doing that. Pretty typical story. I'm always like shocked at how not shocked I am when it's COVID came around, and then like that's where it started. It seems like COVID starting is where everybody just decided, you know what, I can make those two pieces of wood stick together, and I'm going to do that.
I was gonna say I was lucky enough that I've had a lot of hobbies. I was a photographer for a long time, and then I was like, oh, I'm going to get on RC airplanes and do that, and nothing ever stuck. I never found my thing, and I started on YouTube University and learning a ton of stuff from woodworking guys there. And like I said, I built some end tables and stuff, and then I started watching videos on lathe work, and that was where I got hooked. And so I bought my first lathe used off of Craigslist, and that's what then prompted the wall build and everything, because I was just sending dust and shavings everywhere into the garage. So
they really haven't figured out like dust collection for the lathes. It's just kind of like it goes where it goes.
It goes in your face, and so until they have a way to suck it away from your face, yeah.
That's your $1 million idea, Braden.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like maybe a tube that they go in with just like negative pressure, and then 2 rubber gloved hands like you're in the hospital handling like radioactive material.
But do we have the tube technology for it?
Have you seen the Harvey dust collectors? Like, they got double tube action.
That is true.
If you definitely don't want to use gloves, just FYI.
Oh, here we go.
Turning hey, I've broken a finger on the lathe because I had gloves on. So the glove got caught on the wood and sucked into the flywheel, and you heard a loud pop. Yeah.
It's shocking how many things people get on your case about not wearing gloves. Like, you should be wearing gloves, wear gloves. And then the second you get in the wood shop, everybody's like, don't wear gloves.
Take those things off.
Are you trying to kill yourself?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, gloves are dangerous, especially when you're next to something turning 30,000 revolutions per second.
Yeah, I'm just convinced that lathes are just routers on their side with bigger motors, and they spin at the same speeds. TJ keeps saying that's not true, but in my mind, it's a death trap. I don't get lathe people. I don't get why y'all do that. It just seems like death spinning at your face.
It's the instant gratification, or at least it is for me. I have a very small attention span, and a lathe at least means I can start and finish a piece in about an hour, where, if I'm building a cutting board or a chessboard, you cut it up, you have to glue, then you wait, and then you cut it up again and you wait. Yeah. So
how long do you wait before you take like cutting boards and things out of clamps? How long is long enough?
I usually do overnight, only because I move on to something else after I glue it up.
Kimani, how long do you take before you're busting stuff out of clamps?
That's usually dependent on which child is sick or coughing on me. So it starts with the glue up, and then I get a text message that says, hey, somebody's not going to school tomorrow. And I'm like, oh, I guess that cutting board's not getting finished. So, it's a delicate balancing act. We'll say 3 days. 3 days sounds about right.
3 days. That's, you got to wait for it to really cure
Exactly.
That's the trick with wood glues. You gotta get the cure.
All right, I need those glue beads to be rock solid before I start taking a chisel to it.
Or a plane.
Yeah, that one. You know.
Just see him there with his chisel and mallet.
Yeah.
I'm like a 2-hour guy. Like the second I can poke it and it's not wet anymore, I'm like, that's probably good enough. So far, it has not hurt me.
I did it once and it bit me in the butt, and I was like, nope, not again. I'll just wait.
Y'all and your
Jesse gets
patience.
it. Jesse would jump on, but her child gave her some sort of crud, so she's not making any cutting boards.
I think everybody's sick. I was sick this weekend, and you know what the real like bad guy here? Children.
Yeah, because they get sick and then they have the energy to just keep running nonstop with their snotty noses. Like, why can't you be miserable like me? Lay down and be miserable.
Y'all just better get over it before I see you next month, because I don't want it.
Oh, Braden?
I don't know what that was.
Oh.
Yeah. Pause for dramatic effect.
Yep.
It's the children. It's always the children. They're lucky they look like us, because if not, off to military school.
Wow. Tell us how you really feel.
Listen, I have a sarcastic, strong-willed daughter who, the great part is I'm never going to have to worry about her with like boys or like in life. She'll tell people exactly what she feels at any one moment. But let me tell you, I'm terrified of teenage years. The more words she learns, the more she learns how to use the words against me.
Mm-hmm.
And logic. But she also knows what words are bad words. And so we'll be driving and somebody will cut me off and then I'll like mutter like the F word, you know, as one does. And I just hear this little voice from the back going, Dad, we don't say, and then she says the word. And then she says the word again is a bad word. And I'm like, I get it. And you're technically right. But I feel like you're missing the spirit of why I teach you that.
I feel like she's found the loophole to say the word.
She had twice. Like she's like, hey, I found a loophole. I bet I can get away with it twice before he really catches on that I know what I'm saying. So, Alex, you have been doing, like, I know you as like the craft fair guy, like you, and I know it was like, I know you kind of got into it this last year, like really heavy. Why? Like,
did he freeze? He froze. Okay.
He froze.
Yeah. I'll answer the question because I figure I know where he was going. So craft fair wise,
what got you into that?
So I did
Tell
one
us about craft.
I did two at 2 Christmases ago. And then this past year I did a ton during the summer, and then I ended up doing 9 craft fairs in 7 weeks at Christmas this year. Yeah. So the answer of why, year and a half ago, my wife, Victoria, comes up to me and goes, you want to buy that new tool? You need to start paying for some of it. So I was like, okay, well, how can I do that when nobody knows who I am? So I started, looking up stuff, and I had a friend who was the first bazaar I did was actually through a friend who was running it, and so she got me into it, and I was like, this is really great. People actually want to buy my stuff. Okay, I'll keep doing it, I guess. And yeah, and so now it's just, I like meeting people in person. I like having them look at my stuff and either go no or yes, or there's so many reactions you get from people at craft fairs, but most importantly for me, it's people who get really excited about something or tell me that this is going to fill this hole that they've had, or some niche that they need. And everything I make, I try and make with a purpose, so a reason to get Hi, TJ. A reason for the things to exist and to be useful to people. And so I like having that in my items be that way, and so I really get excited when people are excited about them. And then it's also really cool, like this last Christmas, and then even just here at Sasquatch Fest, I had a couple of makers come up, or not makers, sorry, customers come up to me and go, "Hey, I saw you at this other fair. Wow, you have all this new stuff. This is so cool." And so to have that, you know, people remember who you are and come back and talk to you about it. And especially because I get bored and I make new stuff only because I don't want to make the same thing over and over again. So I usually, anytime you come to my booth, it's going to be a lot of different things because I just got bored.
So you make a lot of like really good products for craft fairs. Like you make a lot of smaller trinkets, like gifts, things like that. What kind of stuff have you found sells really, really well in your area? Do you think that those are because they're your area that sells really well, or do you think it's because that in general that would work out well everywhere?
Yeah, that's a good question. Let's see. So you and I have talked about whiskey smokers in the past. I got super excited about them when I saw them online, and I made a whole bunch of them. And then I started selling them, and nobody bought them. And especially at the craft fairs. I think I sold like 3 the first year. And then I actually started selling them in the store, and they sold regularly there. But then this Christmas, I think people finally started getting to know them. I've seen them in a bunch of restaurants, and where they'll bring out the smoked glass and bring it out. And so all of a sudden this year, they've been selling like hotcakes. And otherwise, a lot of little things. I like the things I sell. I know I sell a lot of it, and sometimes I get frustrated that I have to make 700 items to sell at a store or a craft fair. But I like making small things that anybody can grab. So bookmarks sell really well. I sell a lot of magnets, so little $5 round magnets that I would slap a magnet on the back of, and I use my laser to do some kind of Pacific Northwest logo or something on. So those sell really well. Cutting boards don't sell well. I can't sell them. I just don't know. I think Kara here in Oregon has the market cornered on cutting boards, so they're just oversaturated in our market. So I focus on a lot of other things. I do a lot of cribbage boards, and I've been wanting to do more game boards in general, because there's tons of people that come up to me in the fairs and look at the cribbage board. This is so cool. What is it? And have to explain cribbage, but they're like, oh, I don't play cribbage. I'm like, cool. You want to learn, and they don't, and so they don't buy it. But I think there's a need for that. People are wanting to have some physical game or something to play with. So I've been actually currently designing a whole bunch of my own versions of like Marble Solitaire and Fast Track and some other games that I can make on the CNC and sell. That was a very long-winded answer. Sorry.
No,
I told you with whiskey smokers that the trick is to start fires in buildings.
Yeah, I'm a little too hesitant to do that because I want to be invited back to these craft fairs. So the idea of starting a fire to show off a whiskey smoker just doesn't sound smart.
I mean, they're just little.
get an iPad and just have it playing on the thing so they can see it in action. So like a little looping video. So that way, you don't have to cause a fire, and they get to see like, oh, whiskey smoker, I'm down. But,
I'm sure Victoria is downstairs yelling at her phone going, I told you so, because she told me that too. And we actually made a video that I've posted on Instagram and TikTok of how to use it. But I have that on our little payment pad and on my phone. And I also have a little QR code that they can scan and watch it there right at the booth.
So QR codes are the way of the future. In your quest to make more game-related stuff, I just got asked the other day while I was at work if I could make a dice tray. And I do know dice related games are very yeah. So he didn't have a specific one. I think he kind of referenced like something on like off of Wormwood, but they seem to be the go-to for a lot of people. But dice trays, dice towers. I'm making one for my brother, so I'm slowly. And there's a game shop under my old apartment building, so I need to go back over there because there's a lot of it's all board games. It's all board games, tabletop games. So I need to. I have a lot of material to kind of work through. So once my machine is fully up and running, I think I'm just going to do a run of like trays, dice towers, all that kind of stuff, and just take it over there and to be like, here you go. Let's make something happen.
Yeah, I do these hexagonal dice boxes. And so when you open them up, you've got dice on one side and a rolling pad on the other. And then really strong magnets so I can use my metal dice in them, but not have it come apart, which is really nice.
Very good.
I would worry that something like that size would take away a lot of the dope dice motions that I need to roll the kind of scores that I need. Like it's a production.
Your back alley games don't translate here, Braden. You try to
do you put a little bit of fleece or felt in the lid of it so that you have something soft for metal dice to land on also?
Yep. Yeah, I do a fleece on these, and then I also have a leather one as well that I use.
Lovely. Yeah, Thursday nights is D&D nights in my neighborhood, so.
Yep. Yeah, I have a couple different games that I'm part of, and that's why I originally started making this, because a friend of mine had a really fancy table, and I didn't want my big heavy metal dice destroying his table. So I made my own little rolling pad so that if it bends this or breaks this, it only does that. So.
Have you offered to make this friend with the fancy table an opportunity to sink a TV down in there so he can have live battle maps and stuff?
I haven't yet, but he is actually into miniatures, so he makes the whole world on the table, and we have our little characters go around it and everything. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah. Then when you do your chase scenes and you're on a path on your cart that he's already got a mini for and the ground is moving underneath you, bro, let me tell you.
That sounds good. I will have to mention that to him.
We need you to say part of this for Dungeons and Dragon talk. This is
hey, look, just because it's made out of engineered wood, right? And it's got hasty miters doesn't mean he's not making. Right.
Welcome to another episode of Sawdust and Dragons. I'm your magical elf goblin wizard.
Mm-hmm.
That's all right. I got kicked out of the only Dungeons and Dragons game I ever tried to partake in because I made my character Batman and then acted as Batman.
Right, but like, did you build him as a monk or did you build him as like a battle master? Like, we got to ask the real questions here, or like maybe artificer, maybe.
You're way beyond my understanding. I pointed and said, "Can I punch? Yes. Can I wear black? Yes. I'm Batman."
That's right. Nothing says Batman like doing a greeting fist. I see where you're going with this.
Mm-hmm.
So Alex, okay, so gaming stuff, gifts, things like that, and then this last craft fair that you had was like, it was on theme.
It was, and it was my first theme one. So this was Squatch Fest up in Longview, Washington, and apparently it's one of the big ones in the area. And they had a whole bunch of speakers and people who have seen and so on. You know, it was very interesting. There were definitely some interesting stories we heard, and met some different people. But I think most exciting for me was walking around to all the other makers and seeing what people make. There's a guy here locally that I've seen all the time, which is Bigfoot Metalworks in Vancouver. And so he was there and he does Bigfoot signs all the time. And so it was good to see him and a whole bunch of other stuff and all the different exciting things you have around cryptids. So yeah, I had a whole bunch of Sasquatch stuff. I had, as I bonk things, I had lots of UFO stuff. So I make little wooden UFOs too, which seems to be the right people because lots of those sold. And I had some tic-tac-toe boards that were, Tic-Tac Bigfoot and Tic-Tac Aliens. And those sold really well. So it was a lot of fun. I immediately signed up for another Bigfoot Fest in June. I signed up for a UFO Fest in August, trying to get in another one in May. So because it was also the best market I've ever done, which was really exciting. So, which is why I get to go to Workbench Con next month.
Huzzah!
Huzzah!
And I want to talk about that, but before we do, who was like the most out there customer or person that you saw at Sasquatch Fair? I feel like there's got to be like a wide variety of like how invested people get into this thing.
There is a lot of investment. I wouldn't say customer wise, there was a lot of really nice customers. And because we're all, I had a bunch of weird wares and a whole bunch of other things, we all talk. But I would say the most fun I had was actually with the guy in the Sasquatch costume. He and his daughter came by and chatted before he was in the costume. And then they had a lot of fun and liked our stuff. And apparently his daughter thought we were the best booth. And so she also reminds me of my wife at like age 12 because they're like the same person, adult in a child body. But he was really great. And so he kept coming by the booth and, doing little Sasquatch dances and everything in front of our booth. So it was fun. It was goofy.
Did they end up buying one of your awesome Bigfoot print trays?
They didn't because they sold out too quickly.
Yeah, I know. No doubt, man. Those things are sweet.
Yeah, the Bigfoot trays, those sold out right away. Those I think were the first item to sell out. I also did a bunch of I call them signs, but like wall art where my wife will paint the back and then I'll use the CNC and do carvings of different logos and stuff in them. And those sold almost all out. But yeah, it was really exciting. So I can't wait to do more. And now I have a ton of ideas of more things I just didn't have time to do for this one. So I'm excited.
Like what?
That is awesome.
What are the secret ideas?
Well, for the UFO Fest, so if I look at my UFOs here, I want to change the wooden stake and I'm going to use a clear acrylic, and I'll drill in the bottom here and I'll put a switch and an LED light so that it'll look like the beam is glowing as it's floating above the ground.
Yeah,
I
think
you might also stick, I had like do it.
Yeah, and then get on AliExpress and search for the word terrarium, and you'll get all kinds of fun little teeny tiny pop culture icon figures that would like fit in tiny terrariums that you could be beaming up.
I already got a bunch of little cows. So
awesome.
Yep.
Great minds, man.
Didn't have time before the fest this time around. So
you could start 3D printing makers from the Maker Project and like have little tiny Daniel Dunlaps being beamed up and little tiny 3D DIY Daves.
That's a great idea. I might have to do that.
You probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Put a hole in between the little figure so that the clear acrylic rod goes straight through, so it just looks like they're being sucked up.
Yep. This is a great idea.
Yeah. Just drill as many holes in Braden's body as you want to.
Okay. Wait.
Said she.
Yeah. Well, I think he's frozen again, or he's pondering.
That's okay. He's ashamed of us, is what's happening.
Does that.
So, can we talk a little bit about your wood turning also while Braden slowly unfreezes his camera?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh crap, guys! Sorry, I gotta go. Like I gotta go.
That's okay, man.
Well, he started talking about wood turning, so we'll keep the spirit alive for you, TJ.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of like I said, I started on YouTube and got my first one off of Craigslist, and then I ended up finding another one on Craigslist that I traded for. And then when I decided, I was like, after popping my finger open, basically, is what happened. I was talking to my wife and going, okay, I want a newer one that doesn't have a giant flywheel that will suck your hand in. So I ordered one from Record Power, and it's their Cornet Herald lathe. And it's a great machine. I love it. It actually, instead of just going horizontally, the head can turn out. So I can do bowls much bigger than what can just fit over the bed. Or other things, most likely more flying saucers that won't fit over the bed, because I seem to make more UFOs than I do bowls these days. So, but yeah, lathe work is super fun, and it's like I said, instant gratification. So if anyone's thinking about it, and you don't have the mental capacity to wait around for things, or want to spend 8 hours building a box, lathes are really great that way. They're super quick, super fast. So
it's crossed my mind, but the space and the mess requirements, I don't have the spot for it. Like maybe pin turning. I think pin turning I might be able to like consolidate to a smaller footprint. Even if it's like a little bit messy, but yeah, the bowls and things I would like to turn just for the experience, I'm just gonna have to do that at somebody else's shop. So just gonna somebody who's already like dedicated to or like has that space. They're like, yeah, this is a turning shop. I got all the turning things. So it's like I just go in and I'll bring my own wood, but I just just go in and do the thing.
Next time you want to come down to Vancouver, you can stop by and test out the lathe.
It's a much shorter drive than going all the way down to Oregon for the maker meetup. So
yep. You don't have to cross that bridge.
Yeah. So hey, there we go. You stopped me from crossing that bridge. It's game on.
Yep.
I just have to say, we haven't gotten any like live viewer questions, but the conspiracy discussion around what TJ means by family emergency is just rife with just all sorts of theories, and we're past Bigfoot. Although I think the most exciting one is from Patrick Enzel. I just want to know what the problem is for TJ. Is it uncontrollable diarrhea?
I mean, it happens. He could.
Plot twist, the sponsor said every time TJ talks about turning, he has to log off and punish himself. He's currently doing 17 Hail Marys and floggings.
I just want to go on record, since I'm looking in the chat, is that all the times I have invited Paul up to my shop when he's in town, he is yet to invite me down to his shop.
Oh, Paul.
Wow, Paul.
Sorry, I've invited him out for a drink here and there.
That's
and he's
rough.
He's always busy with the family.
Right. Always busy.
And you know what? I don't think any of us on social media have seen this.
He's having the worst internet tonight. No, we have not seen the family.
So, I mean, I hear voices in the background when he's in his closet, but I feel like that's a deeper conversation to have.
For those of you who don't know,
I took money to Kinboshi. Yeah. Once again, outside, on location, not at your house. It was like, hey, meet me here in this dark alley, but not anywhere near I live. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for those of you who don't know Paul's office is inside a closet somewhere. So
yeah, so that's where he does all his recording and screen time. But apparently, yeah, the voices are pre-recorded. See, these are the conspiracies I live for. So
now we lost Braden.
Well, it's just two of us, so we can talk about whatever we want at this point.
There we go. Are there questions in the chat?
There was a street light. Hey, I usually have to be in the house before the street lights come on, so you're just lucky I stayed out that late.
Yeah, there's a good chat going on. I've been ignoring the chat just so I can, not be looking at my phone this whole time.
Yeah, they are a lively bunch down there. When you get like 3 or 4 of them together, it just becomes a hot mess. So,
Well,
good
since
time.
Braden's not here, does anybody have questions? Throw them in the chat. Oh, maybe we have him back.
Well, now it looks like you're hosting. So once again, anybody in the chat. Yes. Funny enough, I show up to an episode and everyone gets bumped off. Another conspiracy. Oh, TJ's back.
Yeah, hey boys and girls. So, quick little updates. Don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but my grandmother, who is visiting locally, most likely had a stroke this evening, and so I had to relocate from my basement to my folks' house, which is where I am now, and I'm watching their dogs. But they're like going to be in the hospital for like a while, so like we're good here. But every time I keep leaving, I keep getting updates from the hospital. So I'm sorry for that. I wish it was explosive diarrhea. Like 100% better than the scenario that I'm in right now, but everything's going to be okay. So I think
Family
I think
first,
we're
man.
all right. But yeah, just I wish I was punishing myself for talking about wood turning and then dipping, because it is one of my favorite things in the entire world. Did you get a chance to brag about being one of like 15 record power lathe owners in the United States and how that ended up happening?
We didn't get a number. We didn't know this was an exclusive club.
It is. You actually have to get your lathe shipped from overseas. There are dealers here in the States, but I actually, when I was getting into lathe work, there's somebody I was talking with all the time on Instagram, something from the Turnery. He's over in the UK, and he got one first, and like I fell in love with it from all of the stories and all the videos and stuff he was posting, and I started looking at it. I'm like, the price is right, all the features are super awesome compared to the features you get at that price point here in the States. So I ordered one, and then COVID happened, and it sat on a shipping container for 7 months outside of Georgia. So
you drove to Georgia and took it off the container yourself.
I really wanted to, but I kept being told it was on the boat still. They couldn't get it unloaded from the boat. So I waited and waited. But yeah, no, it came, and it's a phenomenal lathe. I highly recommend them.
Well, I'm definitely coming to see that.
Yeah. Follow-up question. And this is more about turning. You do a bunch of fun wine bottle stoppers and stuff with Spectraply. I was totally Googling some of those today. Are you finding those pieces locally, or are you reaching out via the website to track down some that really cool? It's like, I don't know, Paul Mitchell hair product color combination or something. It's like teal and hot pink and blue. And
so the people who make Spectraply have a section on their website that they throw up like deals occasionally of a box of scraps. And so I'll buy like 3 boxes of their scraps and have them sent, and which is perfect because they're basically bottle stopper scraps. So yeah, Spectraply is so fun to work with. And if you use once you're spinning it, and how I finish on the lathe is I usually do shellac, and then I'll use a turning paste. But if it gets a little too wet as you start it up again, it spits out all those colors at your face and your arms, and so I'll get like rainbow effects all up in my arms after working with Spectraply. It's really exciting.
Yeah, and if you don't wear a respirator or a face mask, you get really exciting disco boogers also. Like,
luckily I wear both. So
yeah, that's what happens when you're a smart cookie like you. But yeah, it's really fun. And then the vacuuming of the lathe bed afterwards also, you get sort of like a really fun disco sedimentary collection of different pieces.
Yeah, I definitely try and go on the blues and purples and pinks, and so it gets really, really like 1980s all over my wood shop when it happens.
And that stuff sells like crazy here in St. Louis. I mean, like almost all of my Spectraply stuff that I take to shows goes within the first hour or two. I mean, it's awesome, especially like spinning tops, which are, like a 4-minute project.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
I do
yeah.
lots of tops, and I mostly give away tops. But the bottle stoppers are almost all exclusively going to a store that I work with in Astoria, Oregon, and because they sell like hotcakes as gifts for people down at the beach. So I sell them there.
Beach.
Astoria is a beach. There is a beach nearby, but it is definitely a Pacific Northwest beach, which means you don't go in the water because it's too
Cold
cold.
rock garden.
Yeah, that's like saying that the Goonies had a beach. Well, they were just chasing Chester Copperpot, right? Like,
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. We did get one question. Well, sorry, I scrolled up. So we got a question from Girl Got Wood. How do you go about signing up for all of these craft fairs, internet, or local word of mouth?
First of all, hi Kim, and signing up. So for me, I joined like all of the maker groups on Facebook and the different than vendor markets that are on Facebook as well. And so as I see them pop up on those groups, I kind of check probably once a week to see when new postings happen. And so I'll immediately sign up. And then it's word of mouth too, because the best thing you can do is when you're at these fairs is talk to the other makers. And so because in my opinion, we're all part of the same community. We're not competition to each other. We're there to support each other. And so I like to chat with people, get to know their products, but also then say, hey, where else have you been selling? What's your favorite market? Stuff like that. And so like just here at Sasquatch Fest, that's how I signed up for. Well, the UFO one was actually the same people, so they recommended it. But somebody else said, hey, there's another Sasquatch Fest in Portland you should sign up for. So immediately did that. And then an organizer was walking around talking about one she had for Valentine's Day coming up. So I immediately said, send me the link, I'll sign up. And so it's just, you network that way. It's really good.
Cool. And then I think Mark said that Turner's Warehouse in Phoenix carries record laves.
Yep. They're actually they're them and then somebody and I forget the people I actually ordered it from, but the one in Georgia is the other location. Turner's Warehouse had a longer wait than the original 7-month when I ordered mine. So.
But yeah, it's a cool piece of kit, man. Like I was eyeballing it when I was creeping through your videos earlier today doing my research. But
Thanks.
Yeah, and is that thing that's a 1 horsepower or?
No, it is 1.75, I believe. Yeah,
that is awesome. That's a lot of chooch, man. Like,
yeah, it can do. So if I turn the head out, it can do up to 22 inches in diameter, which is a lot of weight on it. But
that's super cool. And then I saw that like you do a good bit of your spindle turning with carbide early on, which is how everybody catches the bug, right?
Yeah.
You get rid of the fear of jabbing metal by running carbide. And then in your more recent videos, it looks like you've gone to steel tools.
Yep. Yeah. I when I started, it was like, yeah, carbide's easy. I don't ever have to, or I can change the tip and that's it. And I don't have to learn how to grind. And then I got so far with that, and there's another guy, a local here, his name's Dan, and I went and did a little turning class with him, and it just made it very much became clear to me that the turning tools are, if I'm using the actual steel tools, I'm actually cutting and not just, scraping the whole time. And the sanding process is so much better this way. So like the UFO is like, I can cut them and then sanding takes about a minute versus if you're using the scraper, it's like 10 to 20 minutes of sanding. So it's so much nicer.
So at what point do you get to get promoted to that metal that they have in Game of Thrones? Like as turners, do you guys get that metal?
Yeah, it's called 10V. Stuart and Ashley and a handful of other pros have their own private lines of tools, and Yeah, 10V is, I think, part of the same research project that got us Captain America and Wolverine. Like they used vibranium and adamantium and mixed it together so that it never defects and it never goes dull. And if you hold it in your hand and you squint at the wood really hard, it just explodes into a bowl. It's awesome.
So the tools I use are Carter and Sons, and they're some of that really nice steel. And it's really good stuff.
I've got some Carter and Sons tools. That's M42. That's really, really good steel.
Yep. And they're in Seattle, so I feel happy they're close.
Well, when it was just Carter, they were junk. It was when the Sons got involved. They're like, Dad, come on. So that's what I heard, at least.
Yeah, their spindle roughing gouge, I think, is one of the better ones out there on the market right now.
Absolutely.
It's a really well thought out and well engineered tool. But yeah, theirs, and then Dave over at D-Way Tools does a similar design to that also. Yeah.
Nice.
All right, TJ, you got your lathe talk.
I know. Do I need to go repent according to our sponsors? Am I like in trouble?
You do. You're
okay.
40 lashes and a Hail Mary.
Yeah, I'll go soak a noodle and I'll give myself 40 lashes with spaghetti and we'll call it a night.
Ugh, wet noodles, gross.
Oh. So Alex, you talked about Sasquatch Fest. I can't remember if that's what it's called. In my head, it's Sasquatch Fest.
Yeah, close enough.
You talked about that creating an opportunity for you to go to Workbench Con. So obviously, if you have, for anybody listening, if you have Sasquatch and alien people in your vicinity, they'll give you money. So just go sell them anything with Sasquatch and aliens on it. But what led to, okay, hey, did this Workbench Con? What kind of led you to that? What's your feelings on that?
So Workbench Con, I found out about last year, right as it was happening the first time, or not the first time, but as it was happening in March of last year. And so I was like, well, I didn't get to do it this year. I'd like to do it eventually. But I think what it came down to where I am in the business at this point. I'm trying to continue to grow. I'm trying to meet new people. Like I really want to go to Maker Camp, but at the same time, I know like 4 people who go to Maker Camp. And so I don't want to be like, hey, let's get an Airbnb. Oh, you already all have one together. I got to go find somebody other. Oh, I don't know who these people are. So I wanted to meet people and get to know them a little bit. And Workbench Con just seems like the right place, one, to meet a bunch of people, continue to grow my skills and knowledge, and then also meet with different brands and people that I have chatted with now over Instagram and now want to put a name to the face and work with. So, because I'm at that point where I want to keep growing my business and I think this is the right step at this time. So.
I think you have the right idea. I got into the Maker community like right before Maker Camp 2 years ago. Not this last year before that, however many years that is. And yeah, I mean, hey, come hang out with a bunch of strangers you met on the internet in the middle of the woods where there's no cell service. Like that's a tough sell, but hey, come hang out in a conference center in downtown Atlanta. That one's at least a little bit
less sketch.
Yeah, that one's, I don't know if I'd say less sketch. We're still pretty sketchy, but at least the ambulance and the cops can get to you a little faster if it really goes south.
Yeah, it's like, you want to go into the woods? You don't even like going outside. Like, I know, it's a thing.
I had met Dan like a month before, and Dan's like, hey, want to go to the woods in New York? And I was like, you seem cool. I don't know if we're that cool yet.
And yet you did.
And then a year later, oh, this is totally fine. I know what kind of sketch I'm getting into. It'll be okay. But yeah, Workbench Con's a ton of fun. So what's kind of your expectation? What are you hoping to get out of it?
I want to learn. Obviously, I want to learn from people who have been where I am and are growing their business and keep how to take those next steps. But I'm excited to see a whole bunch of different brands and tools that I look at and go, man, I really wish I could try that and see if it is actually what I think it's going to do for me. And so I'm excited to walk around the different booths and get some of that hands-on time with the reps and the tools and being like, yeah, all right, now I can save up and buy this $3,000 product versus going, I don't know if I'm going to use it, so I'll just dump $3,000 on it for the hell of it, So yeah, so I'm excited to do that. I think that's the most point for me, is get those hands-on time. And then of course I get to meet all these people that I learned from on YouTube, I've seen on these stories, I've chatted with, and I'm just excited to get to meet all these guys I look up to.
So a lot this happened to me, and I think that it happens to other people when you first go to Workbench Con. Is kind of like you said, it's all these people that you know from social media and from the internet, and it's all these makers that like have channels and stuff like that. It's very easy to get like almost kind of like starstruck, like you're meeting like Maker Brad Pitt sort of thing. Who do you?
Wait.
Go ahead, Kimani.
Who is Maker Brad Pitt? who? I have my. You know what? I know who it is. It's Eric Curtis. Eric Curtis is Maker Brad Pitt. So never mind. Yeah. Wait, who are you gonna say?
I was gonna say Travis from Shop Nation.
So I'll take your word for it.
Who are you most excited to meet?
I mean, in real life,
is there anybody like that?
I'm excited to meet you in real life for the first time, even though we chat a bunch.
This is the first time I've ever heard that.
No, I mean, I would, of course, I'd love to meet the Godfather. I'd love to meet Jimmy, just because he's the guy who kind of started all of this.
That's easy. Pick somebody else. That's easy.
Pick somebody else. Okay.
Jimmy friggin' DeResta again.
I'm excited to meet Hamilton. Hamilton Dillbeck. I just joined his CNC with me, so I'm part of the founding month, which has been super exciting. And if you haven't joined it yet, please go join it because it's a great community. It's super exciting. I'm also excited to meet Cody from Cadence Manufacturing. He's going to be there for the first time. And I've been chatting with him, and his bits, Ginny bits, are like the best bits for your CNC. If you haven't tried them yet, do it. And I'm not trying to plug them because I like their stuff. I'm plugging them because they're phenomenal products. I only plug things that I enjoy and work with, and so they're great products.
Yeah. So that means that you and Cody and a few others will be in my class, and I am doing the newbie meetup. So all of the first timers to Workbench Con will get to hang out with me, and I'll be your guide as much as I can to show you around. Because we're making sure that nobody feels like they're just wandering around looking for people, kind of thing. Like, you're gonna find your tribe and your people early on, and we're just gonna make that experience a whole lot more interactive. So welcome to the class. See you on Thursday, if not before. When are you flying in?
I fly in Wednesday. I get in about 9 p.m. So
sweet. We'll already be trashed. So
I'm sure I'll check in and I'll come down to the bar and see who's there.
On fresh fruit juices and various sodas, we don't drink the
libations,
sort of like finishes. Yes. We're not looking to get the vapors.
Yeah. So this is the fun thing about being on the West Coast. I leave at 5 a.m. here. I only have a 45-minute layover, so I'm flying the entire time until 9:10 when I land. So. Yeah. It's literally almost as far as you can go in the lower 48 from point to point on a plane.
Yeah, just about.
Yeah, I mean, like Orlando is negligibly further, but like that's a big flight.
Yes, if the big hubs, Seattle to Atlanta would be the only one farther, and Portland's not much closer.
So yeah, that's my flight. I leave. I think my flight's at around 7 or 8, and I land around 4:30. So yeah, we're gonna hop a taxi. I think a few other makers are landing around 3:45, 4 o'clock. So we're all gonna.
Are you taking a direct?
Yeah,
That's why.
yeah,
Mine's
yeah.
going to Fort Worth first. So
Oh,
I
we
was
had
gonna say,
a.
how many connecting flights do you have? 8?
no, just the one. But apparently, going to Texas takes your sweet time.
Everything.
Yeah, but
man,
then you're
no,
also going to be in DFW, which, I mean, St. Louis's airport is objectively worse. But I despise DFW, specifically their customs.
Yeah.
Never do customs re-entry through DFW if you can help it. Blech.
Nope, did that. We came back from Mexico through there, and that was not fun.
So,
See, I'm different. The Atlanta airport for me is just the bane of my existence. I hate everything about that airport.
so easy. It's just in and out.
The whole place smells like urine. It's just a dirty airport.
What terminal are you landing at? You
Come to St. Louis.
I
Stop
don't know.
landing in the P terminal.
All I know is last year when we got back. So 2 years ago, my brother wanted to buy a bus, and he wanted to outfit it and move into a bus. And we flew to Atlanta and then took a Uber to bum F Hicksville outside of Atlanta. Like there was a Walmart and they were real proud of it. And that was it. We get there and the guy has very clearly neglected to inform us of the massive oil leak in the engine, which would cause smoke to billow out the exhaust like a James Bond movie, except less cool and less fast. So, and I think his thought was, well, they flew to a different state. There's no way they're not going to buy a bus. Joke's on him. We turned right around and tried to fly back to Omaha. Got the last fly out the next day, which ended up getting bumped to the next morning. And instead of getting us a hotel, they're like, "Hey, good luck. Y'all can sleep in the terminal." Nothing. No food for you. And the whole place smelled like pee. And I was upset. So when we left WorkbenchCon last year, we flew out of not just the same terminal, we flew out of the exact same gate. And I started having like PTSD that I was going to get stuck sleeping on the floor of that nasty ass terminal again.
Well, my gates in flight are great. And actually, if you stay inside, it smells less like pee. Anyway, not to end my part there, but I had a hard stop at 8 o'clock, or 8 o'clock my time, so I can take care of a small child. So I'm going to say, Alex, it was great speaking with you. Seeing you in Portland, we didn't get to touch on that, but great meeting you down there.
Yeah.
Congrats on winning that ring game. That was pretty nice. And everyone, be good to each other. I will see you guys next time.
See you soon.
Well, we are getting close to our hour, so before we wrap things up, I do want to send out a special thank you again to our sponsors, Surf Prep and George Supply Co. They're phenomenal. Go check out their stuff. It's great, and the personalities behind the brands are also great. So we just really like working with them. So we appreciate them. But yeah, TJ, why don't you wrap us up?
That sounds like a plan. Okay, so you're aware at the end of many of these episodes, I put all of our favorite guests on the spot and I ask them to give us a motivational thought or a quote or some kind of something, or at the very least a reason to kick open the doors to our workshops. Go hold a tool, go make a mess, go get awesome. What would you like to share with the rest of the boys and girls that are either watching or listening?
I will defer to my favorite movie, which is Back to the Future, and say, the future is whatever you make of it, so make it a good one.
That's good. I would have jumped on, once this thing hits 88 miles an hour, you're going to see some shit. Yours is much more eloquent and I think is absolutely perfect for wrapping us up this evening. Boys and girls, just remember that because you do it, you make it. And that's the whole point. I suppose we're going to see everybody next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. I haven't actually seen Braden's video feed since I logged back on like 20 minutes ago. So, like, I'm sure he's down there. He might even be making faces at me or doing things like this because I'm talking over him. But I don't think that's how this is going to work. But he is the one that is capable of stopping the live. And I believe in him, and I believe in you, and I believe in all the rest of the boys and girls tuning in this evening. So
TJ, ironically, I can't stop the feed because I'm on my phone now, and the computer. I don't know what's wrong with my computer, but it won't load internet because my internet has been perfect on my phone. So I think.
So do we all just need to bail? Like, do we need to go for it, and we'll edit it down in post?
Alex, are you on the computer?
Yeah.
Do you see like a big button up top that says "End Stream"?
Nope. It just says "Leave" for me.
I think we're stuck live forever.
Maybe
I mean, there's worse things that could happen in this world.
Well, I guess we'll just leave.
Okay, everybody, you want to just poke the leave button and see if we can do our little post wrap up in like 3 minutes?
This is a whole new special.
A whole new hell.
All right, I'm gonna hit.
All right, boys, I'm pressing the button. See you in a few.
See you guys.